Good morning, students. Today we will discuss second chapter of class 10th science, acid, base and salts. So, before we start the chapter, we have to know when we see an chemical, how can you know the nature of chemical or what is the nature of chemical? Whether it is acidic, basic or neutral. How can you know that? We have to test, we have to examine, we have to experiment. If you have a chemical substances, you have to know the nature of the chemicals, whether it is acids, base or neutral, or all these substances may be acids, base or salt, or some substances may be neutral. Okay, so acids and base are exactly opposite contrast to each other. If we take the acids as a positive aspect or base as a negative aspect, then combination of both acid and base may be neutral. That results acid and base react to each other to form salt and water, that we have studied in previous class, like your class 9th, 8th. Okay, then what do you mean a neutralization reaction? In a neutralization reaction, acid react to an acid react to base to form salt and water. This is your neutralization reaction. So, before we start the chapter, we have to know some common facts regarding acid, base and salt. So, we'll start from the acids. How can you know that whether a substance is acid or base? How can you know that? We can know through we can taste that substances, that if a substance is acid, that tastes to sour, or if a substance is taste to bitter, then we can say that that is a base. Okay, for example, we can take as an acid lemon, imli, dahi, vinegar. These are acidic substances, and these substances are carries, like your lemon. In the lemon there is citric acid, imli there is tartaric acid, in dahi there is lactic acid, in vinegar there is acetic acid. So in case of base, the examples are soap, baking soda, milk of magnesia, and you know that milk of magnesia is a antacid. When we have feel acidic, we can take milk of magnesia for release of acid. So it is used as an antacid. Okay, then we can how can you distinguish between acid and base? We can examine or experiment through the litmus paper. E-based solution turns the blue litmus red. Remember, E-based solution turns the blue litmus red. We can say that it is an acid. Likewise, E-based solution turns red litmus blue. Turns red litmus blue. We can say that the solution is base. Okay, students? And in case of, if we have red litmus for acid, there is no change. Similarly, in case of base, blue litmus, there is no change. Okay, then another we can take according to Arrhenius theory. What we call that? We have to define chemically whether it is an acid or base. If you have a solution, then you have to know that whether the solution is acid or base. Then how can you examine that? Those chemicals dissolve in water. Those chemicals dissolve in water to release H plus ions. They are acid. Okay. Once again I repeat, those chemicals dissolve in water to release H plus ions, they are acid. Then how can you know that H plus ions? Or what do you mean H plus ions? In the previous class we have discussed that how can an atoms or molecules become an ions. If an atom lose one or more than one electron, then it changes into ions. So a chemical dissolves in water to release H plus ions, they are acid. Similarly, those chemicals dissolve in water to release OH minus ions. OH minus ions, they are base. Okay, they are base. Then dissolves in water means they are in aqueous solution. They are in aqueous solution. That solution are in aqueous solution. Both acid is in aqueous solution and also that base is in also aqueous solution. And that gives rise to, in case of acid, H plus ions, and in case of base, that gives OH minus ions. Okay, then in aqueous solution of acid and base, in aqueous solution, acid and base, we can take some chemical equation like HCl. You know that hydrochloric acid, HCl, hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid in aqueous solution, that means in water, that gives rise to H plus ions plus Cl minus ions. Okay. Similarly, another acid, H2SO4, H2SO4, that is your sulfuric acid. This sulfuric acid is in aqueous solution, that gives rise to H plus ions with sulfate ions. Okay, another acid we can take HNO3, that is your nitric acid. You know that nitric acid, and that gives rise to H plus ions and NO3 or nitrate ions. Another acid, your H2CO3, carbonic acid. In aqueous solution, it gives H plus ions with carbonate ions. Okay, and another acid, that is phosphoric acid, H3PO4, in aqueous solution that gives rise to H plus ions plus phosphate ions. Okay, in this reaction you see that in aqueous solutions all the acid gives H plus ions. Okay, in aqueous solution or in presence of water, all the acids gives H plus ions. So they are acid according to Arrhenius theory. So according to Arrhenius, how can you know that whether the solution is base? Then we have some base like your NaOH, that is your sodium hydroxide. What do we call that? Sodium hydroxide. NaOH, sodium hydroxide. This sodium hydroxide in aqueous solution, that means in presence of water, it gives Na plus and OH minus ions. According to Arrhenius theory, those chemicals dissolve in water to release OH minus ions, they are base. So in case of NaOH or NaOH in aqueous solution, it gives OH minus ions. So it is a base. Then in case of KOH, potassium hydroxide, in aqueous solution it gives K plus ions with OH minus ion. Here is also OH minus ions is released, so KOH is a base. Another base, that is your CaOH whole 2, calcium hydroxide. In aqueous solution it gives Ca2 plus and OH minus ions. Here is also, or calcium hydroxide is also provides OH minus ions, so it is a base. Another base like your magnesium hydroxide. In aqueous solution it gives magnesium plus OH minus ions. So all these bases are in aqueous solution that gives OH minus. So according to Arrhenius theories, those chemicals dissolve in water to release H plus ions, they are acid, and those chemicals dissolve in water to release OH minus ions, they are base. So students, we know that how can you identify a chemicals whether it is acids or base. Okay, so in the next class we have discussed the details.